Hi guys, this is Ranjit and welcome to the first Tech Q&A session of 2022. We just forgot to do that in January, but let's do this now. And I've got a bunch of questions, some pretty interesting questions, so let's take it. And the first question that I got, and this has become important now, this is by Kautsav. He says, does it make sense to buy a flagship phone with the flagship processor now in 2022, considering the fact that the mid-range phones are now having fabulous processors with great battery life? And I agree to this point. Not everyone actually needs to buy a flagship smartphone, because what I have noticed, and I actually use a lot of flagship phones and mid-range phones, and specifically in terms of battery life, definitely the mid-range smartphones outperform the best of the best flagships. In fact, I'm currently testing the Moto G71, and prior to that I was using the Samsung Galaxy S21 FE. That's sort of a flagship, and in terms of battery life, the Moto is definitely giving me almost double the battery life. So definitely in terms of battery life, yes, the mid-range smartphones are more practical for day-to-day usage. But yes, in camera department, I would still say the flagships have an edge. So if you take a lot of photographs and you want the best quality photographs, yes, still the flagships are the best. But some of the good mid-rangers, not the budget one, are actually having some decent, camera performance also. But battery life, definitely on mid-range smartphones, you will definitely get a far better battery life compared to the flagship, because what I've noticed is many of the flagship processors from last year onwards, even the Snapdragon 888, etc., are not that well optimized, and they consume a lot more power compared to the mid-range smartphones. So yes, I would say not everyone requires a flagship, and judge, man, what do you want? I am actually a lot more happier with mid-range smartphones. I generally carry one smartphone, that is the iPhone, because I feel still with video this does a good job. And for my new channel, that GeekyRanjit vlogs, I just shoot the video directly with this one. But mostly my second SIM, that's my main SIM, is generally mid-range smartphone, because of the battery life, and it's just practical. Also, if you drop it, you don't have to worry too much. Anyways, moving to the next question. This is by Aman. He's saying, planning to shift to Mac OS after using Windows for more than 13 years. He says the reason is battery life on MacBooks and the stability. How difficult it is to switch for the user who is using Windows using keyboard shortcuts, and also reason is the Apple ecosystem with iPad and iPhone. Yes, you can definitely shift it. I use both the platforms. I use the Mac, and this is a Windows computer. So I use a lot both of the platforms. But yes, in terms of shortcuts, the keyboard shortcuts, those are actually different on a Mac. But after about 3-4 weeks, you'll get used to it. So that should not be a problem. And yes, the new Macs with the M1 chip, etc., do get far better battery life compared to most other Windows laptops. So I would definitely say, yes, there is a learning curve. But again, if you are willing to stick for that 3 or 4 weeks, you'll get used to it. And so yeah, it'll work. I'm using both the platforms, so I'm okay with it. Okay, let's move to the next question. This is by Kart. He says, Apple, Samsung and Google phones have Knox, Titan M and security chips in their hardware. Do other flagships like OnePlus, etc. offer the same kind of security chips? No, the OnePlus and even the Oppos do not do that. But Motorola does have a security layer that is known as the ThinkShield. And I like the fact that Motorola is not restricting the ThinkShield to only the flagship lineups. Even with the mid-range smartphones, for example, the Moto G71 that I'm testing has that ThinkShield. So if you require that additional security, and you might require that for work, if you are using secure documents on work, your organization might have said. So yes, Google has it, Samsung has it with Knox, and Motorola also has that with ThinkShield, but not some of the other ones. This is by Ankit. He says, okay, and this is an interesting question. Let me answer this. What is the reason of sudden downgrade in flagship chipsets from Snapdragon, that is Snapdragon 888, 8 Gen 1 compared to Apple Silicon on MediaTek lately? Also, is there any chance as end consumers not seeing the gimmicky camera lenses in mid-range and upper mid-range smartphones? Regarding the gimmicks of 2 megapixel, seeing on mid-range and upper mid-range smartphones, that's not going to stop. We have recently seen that even in the OnePlus 9R, that 2 megapixel camera. In fact, I was testing one of the Oppo's really good camera camera smartphone, excellent camera smartphone. In that also we have one camera lens that's 2 megapixel. So that 2 megapixel gimmick on Android smartphones is not going to stop. But let's come back to your important question about the flagship Android chipsets not behaving properly, and this we started seeing from last year, that is the Snapdragon 888. It had a lot of heating issues, and I think so this problem is because the Snapdragon 888 actually started using the ARM Cortex X1 cores. The X1 cores are actually pretty powerful, but the problem is that the X1 cores consume a lot of power, and the byproduct of consuming a lot of power is you get a lot of heat. That's why those chipsets were heating quite a bit. In fact, I will be blunt to say that the ARM Cortex X1 cores were not particularly designed for smartphones. They were designed for larger devices like tablets, or for what do you say, hybrid computing like Windows thin and light laptops with ARM chips. But because everyone wants that powerful chip, OEMs started using it in the smartphones by underclocking, etc. But still, the performance was not that good. Thus, most of the smartphones using the ARM X1 cores, be it the Snapdragon 888 and even 2100, initially had a lot of heating issues. Now they have throttled it down, but that's not the solution, I would say. Though still, the new 8 Gen 1 is actually using the ARM Cortex X2 chip now, but again, we are hearing that that one also has heating. So now vendors have to actually give extra, what do you say, cooling solutions in their smartphone, otherwise it will heat up. Let's see how this fades, but I feel this race of just having faster chips, what do you want in a smartphone? You can have the fastest chip on the smartphone, but again, within 2 minutes of usage, it starts to heat up and consumes a lot of battery. That's not a good thing. So vendors, instead of just going by the benchmark numbers higher and higher, have to think about practicality. And that aspect, I would say, mid-range, that's why I like some of the mid-range Android smartphones. For example, the Snapdragon 778 was an excellent chip. The MediaTek Dimensity 900, etc. Fabulous chips. They get the performance right, but they don't heat that much that the battery life and the overall performance goes for a toss. So that's the reason that we are seeing a lot of heating it started from the last year Snapdragon 888. Now looks like the 8 Gen 1 is also going to have some heating issues. Okay, this is by Motion. He says, what are your expectations and thoughts on the S22 series? That's the Samsung Galaxy S20. Expected price, no idea, man, in India. But I feel the pricing will be slightly higher compared to the last year, because that's what I'm seeing with some of the new smartphones that are being launched in India now. So don't expect, there'll be a slight price jack that I'm noticing. He says, I'm using the iPhone 13 but feel so boring compared to Android. I didn't use the device now that much because I don't find anything to do, because iOS and battery life is excellent. Do you feel the same? Motion, if you see my review of the iPhone 13 Pro, see in the title I said, excellent smartphone but boring. So that's what is with iPhone. It just works, and I would say for 95% of the people, they just want a smartphone that just works without the hassles. But again, if you look at iOS and if you compare it with some of the older iPhones, you won't find a lot of things that are very new and exciting. But that's how iPhones roll, and I think so major 95% of the people, they want a smartphone that just works. It might be boring, but it just works. And it's reliable. I think so. That's why iPhones sell a lot. But in terms of cutting edge technology like foldables and this, we don't get that with the iPhone. So I understand your point of view, why it's boring. That's why watch my review of the iPhone 13 Pro. Brilliant smartphone, as I said in the title, but boring. Anyways, but again, I think so the boring is the best thing that can happen for a normal consumer, because everything just works perfectly. The regular stuff that just work, but excitement, new cutting edge stuff, no, that's not there. Let's move to the next one. This is by Rohit. What happened to Asus India? No Zenfone 8 series ever launched. Which phone according to you has the best haptic, especially in Android? And what the fuck is wrong with the availability of Sony PS5? Is Sony being blind about it? Regarding the Sony PS5, I also don't know what the hell is happening. I also gave up on the PS5. I've tried it 6-7 times. never were able to get in the sale. So I've just given up on it, and I won't be bothered about it. Regarding the Zenfone, I am also clueless what happened to the Zenfone 8. It was supposed to launch, but it hasn't launched. So I don't think so it's going to launch now. Let's hope the new series or whatever, Zenfone 9 or whatever, if Asus is going to launch that in India, they should make it clear. And if they're committing to launch it, they should launch it on time. I just hope they do it, because I feel there is a market for that smartphone. But again, they shouldn't bungle it up like what they did with the Zenfone 8. I'm also keeping my fingers crossed. I also don't know what is happening. Let's move to the next one. This is by Ranadeep. He says, why don't you start doing car buying guides for newbies, or a bike purchasing guide? Things for multiple categories such as economic, sports, etc. We already have tons of such guides-based videos on tech gadgets, but clear and honest videos are actually missing for cars and bikes. I don't think I'm an expert in cars and bikes, but recently I have purchased 2 bikes. Earlier I had purchased the Honda INS, that was 350cc. Just last week I had purchased the Triumph Trident 660cc. So I know a little bit more what to look at and what are the things that you should actually look. People forget about it. People just, again, in bikes also just look at the specs point of view, but don't look at the practicality. So I might post a video on my other channel, that is GeekyRanjit Rides and Vlogs over there. And also about riding gear, safety. This is something that we forget about it. So yes, I will be posting some of the videos, not total buying guide, but some of the things that you need to know. Why are you going for this? You need to question that things. So yes, I will try to post a video, and also on safety guide. If you're especially going on a bike or something like that, it's very important to have safety gear. I've now purchased quite a bit of safety gear because I'm riding a lot. So I'll actually try to make a video on that one. Again, that will be on my second channel. I'll leave the link, GeekyRanjit Rides and Vlogs. Okay, coming back, this is the next question is by Sayank. He says, we have recently seen that YouTube content creators' accounts being hacked and ending up losing all this stuff that they have made till date. Such incidents have recently happened to TechVisor. Luckily, their channel got restored. What's your take on this? Sayank, hacking has been happening for ages and ages. And again, you have to secure your accounts. You just can't rely on, passwords these days because of phishing attacks. And this can happen with multiple things. And it's not just your YouTube account that you have to keep your secure. You have to also keep your email account that might be linked to that because for restoration and all those things that is required. So multiple things. And you just cannot rely in today's world on just passwords, because that can be spoofed, hacked and something. So you have to rely on two-factor authentication, and many people do that, and they just do the authentication with their OTPs on the phone, but that is also not secure. For my very important accounts, I do not use phone authentication. In fact, I use a hardware security key that has to be inserted when I log in. So there are ways to secure account how much you want. So don't just keep it secure, just rely on passwords or OTPs. Use more robust authentication methods like hardware security keys to log on if it's a very important account. But let's say hardware security keys are expensive, you don't want that. So you can use something like Google Authenticator or whatever that actually generates OTP and stuff. So there are ways to do that, and I think so it's high time people start doing that, not just for YouTube accounts, but for other things also. Because just imagine how important is an email. A lot of things are there in your email, your financial stuff, everything, your banking and everything. So people just relying on usernames and passwords. This is just not enough now, because we are living the digital life. And I would urge, if it's a very important account or something, use hardware security keys. If you really guys want a video on that, I actually use hardware security keys for some of my accounts. If you really want a video on that, I would say secure account a little bit more than what it is. Let me know. I'll definitely try to make a video. It's a full steps of things that you need to do. Anyways, let's move to the next thing. This is by Roy. He says, new smartphones seems to be not like exciting anymore. Fast processor, high refresh rate, fast charging, everything is there. Seems like only modification is happening. Yes, the cameras, they just move it here and there. I feel foldable smartphones can change this. Perhaps what's your view on future of smartphones? Foldables, yes, there are interesting foldables and it's evolving. And I can tell you, because I'm a Fold user, I have been using the Fold 1, Fold 2 now. I even have the Fold 3. But guys, I don't carry the Fold 3 always. My third SIM is in that. I just carry a normal smartphone because the form factor of this one is way more practical, I would say, than foldables. But the thing is that we have reached a saturation point now with regular smartphones. So what are the main important features that you require? Everything is already done. So that's why we are seeing very incremental improvements, some improvements in battery life, some improvements in camera. But if you are expecting a huge increase in terms of innovation, we have reached that plateau. Yes, I understand the foldables. I am excited on foldables. Let's see what happens in the next 2-3 years. There is a lot of scope with that. It can bridge the gap of a tablet and a phone. But again, still I would say, because I've been a user of Fold 2, Fold 3, even Fold 1, it's still a long way to go there because of the battery life issues, practicality, a little bit more fragile than the regular smartphones. So we're in the transition phase. But again, in the regular smartphone form factor, if you're expecting huge new radical changes, I don't think so. We have reached that stage like we had reached in computers about 20 years ago. This thing is very, very practical and just works, this form factor. This is by Mridul. He says, how's the performance of the Dimensity 900 and 1200 since it was launched and used in some phones like OnePlus Nord 2, iQOO 7, Oppo Reno 6 and many more? I like the Dimensity 900 more than the Dimensity 1200. Dimensity 1200 is also a very good SoC. I've used some smartphones, for example the Nord 2, and it performed very well. You can check my review of the Nord 2. Apart from the blasting issues, that's a different thing. The Nord 2s are blasting, but it was a very good chipset and I've used it even on some of the other. But in terms of power efficiency, I felt that the Dimensity 900 was a far more power efficient smartphone. So for a mid-range smartphone, I would say the Dimensity 900 was a very good chipset. The 1200 was also good, but 1200 I noticed the battery life was slightly reduced because yes, it's a more powerful chip. But again, I've used some phones with Dimensity 1200 and even 900, and I will not have any issues using those smartphones. Very good ones. This is by Neol. He's asking, do you think smartphones are getting expensive day by day? Not the flagship, just a good smartphone earlier. A good smartphone like the Redmi Note 4 used to cost about 10,000. Now every quality smartphone starts at 15,000. What is the reason behind it? Neol, this is not a strictly a technical question, but this is coming to economics. And if you notice inflation, this is happening due to inflation. And in fact, in the last 2 years, because of the COVID, this has increased quite a bit. Not only smartphones, if you look at many of the other things, the pricing of all of those things have increased drastically. And now I would say, yes, you are correct. A good smartphone that you could get about 3-4 years ago at 10,000 price point, now you have to shell almost about 14 to 15,000 for that quality of smartphone. And many of the mid-rangers, about a couple of years ago, we used to call mid-rangers 14 to 15,000. Now those smartphones with that kind of performance have increased to about 19 to 20,000, even 21, 22,000. So that's a fact. And pricing of everything has increased in the last 2 years, and specifically in semiconductor, there is a lot of shortages that is going on for RAM, for chips and everything, and that is also driving up the prices. So I don't think so the pricing will come back to those levels. It has just moved to the new segment. Sad, but that's the fact. This is by Akash. In times like now, I'm confused which laptop to upgrade, MacBook Air M1 or anything from Windows side, Dell, HP, etc. There are rumors like the new MacBook Air M2 is going to be launched soon. Should I hold on? Regarding Apple, yeah, we cannot always judge on rumors. I still have the MacBook Air M1 and still I would say it's a fabulous laptop. One of the best laptops that I've used. And if you want an equivalent laptop in Windows, you have to spend almost 1.4 to 1.5 lakhs. You can get the new MacBook Air now for what? 85, 90,000? So still, the MacBook Air M1 is a steal. And this is coming from a person who uses fancy laptops and stuff. But whenever the M2 will come, I don't think so Apple will price it very aggressively like what they have done with the M1. The pricing will have a significant premium, like we saw on the new MacBook Pros 14-inch and they were priced absurdly. So even when the MacBook Air M2 will come out, don't expect the pricing to be as aggressive as the M1. Still, I would say, I still do many of the video editing, 4K video editing on the MacBook M1 that I have, that is almost a year old, and still it just flies. The battery life is good. One of the best laptops that I would say, a portable thin laptop that I have used in the past couple of years. That good it is, still, I would say. But M2, we don't know, the Air M2, and even if it launches, Apple is going to jack up the price like crazy. Trust me, guys, on that one. This is by Anuj. What do you think of the haptic feedback in Android phone ranges from 20,000 and above? Many tech players don't give interest to better haptic engines on Android phones compared to Apple devices. It does improve the user experience a lot. Okay, coming back to your question, yes, the haptic feedback improves the end user experience by a lot, but you're comparing it with Apple. Even affordable Apple smartphone, what costs 50, 60,000? That's not the case with Android. Many Android phones that people buy mid-range are about 28,000, 18 to 20,000. And yes, in those, the haptic feedback is not that great. But generally, some of the premium Android smartphones that go above 40,000, the haptic feedback is good on them. It's not like, so you can't just say that Android manufacturers are not giving good haptic feedback. They are giving it, but they're giving it after a certain price point range. We have not seen great haptic feedback in mid-range smartphones. I hope that changes, because stereo speakers and haptic feedback, these are the two things that changes the overall end user experience for a smartphone. This is by Cyberpunk. He says, can you please suggest me what to buy between the S20 FE 5G and the OnePlus 9 RT? I'm confused. My priority is a good camera and better battery backup. My max budget, he says, is about 45,000. Okay, this is a tough one, I would say. I haven't in-depth started testing the OnePlus 9 RT. I will be putting my SIM on that one today or tomorrow, because I'll just finish the testing of the G71. I would say if you can wait till next month, February has already started. You can just wait for 2 weeks, because we know that the Samsung Galaxy S22 series will also be launching in India. The event is on 9th. So hopefully by after a week, generally the phones gets launched in India. So hopefully by about 2nd or 3rd week of February, the S22 series will launch officially in India. And what will happen is that you have the Samsung Galaxy S21 FE. I think so the pricing of that one will fall down, because in the last Amazon sale, for 3 or 4 days, you could have got the S21 FE 5G for 47,500 with bank offers. And for that price, it was a very good phone. Right now, again, they have jacked up the prices. But I think so after the launch of the S22, they'll again revisit the pricing of the S21 FE. And I think so with bank offers, you should be able to get it with the 45,000 price one. Because I feel the camera on the S21 FE, man, wow, it's just fabulous. The camera is even better than the S21 FE. So if you can just wait for this 2-3 weeks, wait and see what happens with the pricing of the S21 FE 5G. Okay, moving to the next one. This is by Mr. Sahu. He says, Android phones have made great improvements to photos, and flagships are almost on par to the iPhones. However, they still lag behind on video quality. Which Android phone, in your opinion, comes closest to the iPhone in video quality? Yes, I completely agree, Sahu. And that is the reason I'm carrying the iPhone 13 Pro, because on my new channel, that is GeekyRanjit Rides and Vlogs, I generally don't carry a big, heavy professional camera to shoot. I just remove this and shoot the video, and the videos come out really good. So I would say yes, still in video, the iPhone has an edge over Android phones. I just did not actually like the video quality of any Android phone. This is slightly better, but I think so this can change this year, because the new Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, forget about the processing power or something, they say the ISP has been improved drastically for video. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm also waiting for some of the new Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 smartphones to see how good is the video quality. If that can match, if it doesn't even surpass, if it can match the iPhones, I might just ditch this iPhone, because I just use this iPhone for shooting videos. So just keeping my fingers crossed, because the ISP and specifically they have made improvements in the video for that chipset. So I'm also looking forward to that. This is by Prakishit. Do you think the downfall of OnePlus and Android flagship category has left a gap, and there is a chance for other manufacturers to step in the game? Also, for stock Android, Motorola is probably only one left to give that experience. Should they try to match up to the OnePlus? Yes, definitely Motorola is doing a good job in the past 4-5 months. If you notice, they have launched some good phones. So they can also get into the slightly that 40,000 price bracket now. So I hope they improve. But in terms of Android updates, Motorola needs to improve and give out updates quicker. And also in terms of camera optimization, I feel there is a scope of improvement for Motorola. They have improved quite a bit. In fact, because I was testing the Moto G71, the camera performance has improved quite a bit, but still there is a room for improvement, I would say. Software optimizations, they can definitely do that. So yes, I feel Motorola has a good chance to capture some of the market that is being left by OnePlus. And I feel Asus is also missing this market, because Asus phones also, the Zen UI, whatever they call it, is nothing but very close to stock Android. So I feel there is a scope. The hardware was good. Again, they have to also work on the software part to give updates on current time, and also launch phones quickly when they are launched globally. You just can't wait for 6 months and launch a phone in India. That simply does not work. So yes, I feel Motorola has a chance, and Asus also, if they launch the phones quickly, has a chance. So guys, these were some of the questions that I had for this tech Q&A session. And guys, if you're still not subscribed to this YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. And also don't forget to check out my other channel, that is GeekyRanjit Writes and Vlogs, and some interesting crazy stuff over there. Again, I'll leave the link for that one also in the description. Anyways, guys, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. This is Ranjit, and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care, guys.